My brother lost his job along with all his savings several months ago, and soon after he asked me if it would be okay if he and his wife stayed with me until they could afford their own place again. I hesitated at first, considering I only have a one-bedroom apartment, but according to them they had no other options, so of course I invited them over and bought a blow-up mattress for the living room. For the first month things were manageable, although admittedly cramped. Then my brother told me that sleeping on the mattress was giving him back pains. So he asked if he could buy a small double bed for the living room. The living room is by far the biggest room I have, so I told him that would be fine as long as there was still room for my couch, TV, bookshelves. The living room is also connected to my kitchen in an open plan style. So I reminded my brother to leave walking space around the bed. It's now been 2 months and things have gotten a lot worse. When they first moved in, I would still use the living room every day to unwind on the couch after work. Now whenever I go in, there's a strange vibe like I'm intruding. My brother and his wife are often sitting in bed together when I go in. I always knock and stare at me pointedly until I leave. Sometimes when I sit down they will directly ask me for some alone time and say they would like the room to themselves. This came to a head yesterday when my sister-in-law messaged me with a timetable she'd made of when it would be a good time for me to use the living room. The timetable basically says that they will allow me into the room for an hour each evening, plus 20 minutes around meal times. I basically shut her down instantly and told her there was no way I'd be following the timetable since in the end it's my apartment. She sent me back a huge message with a dozen paragraphs about how my constant presence was ruining her marriage with my brother and they feel like they have no privacy. I tried to talk this over with my brother that night, but when I got home neither my brother //SIL were talking to me. So he's clearly just as pissed. Today an Amazon parcel arrived for my brother with a lock for the living room door, which I told him there's absolutely no way I will allow him to install. My brother says I'm creepy for wanting constant access to where they sleep and he's insisting on installing the lock anyway. I am one of 4 kids. My older brother P, who I no longer have any contact with, my younger brother J, who is no longer with us, and my youngest sister K. Recently P's children, 2 girls and 1 boy, all in their late teens and early 20s, reached out to me and expressed a desire to have a relationship. I have 0 contact with their father and swore that I would beat him black and blue if I ever saw him again. My oldest brother P was always the golden child. No matter what he did, my parents always had an excuse for why it was not his fault. Bad grade? Teacher had it out for him. Cheating on every single one of his relationships? Good thing you did it to her before she did it to you. That one was my personal favorite. He also used to torment Jay and I constantly when we were smaller than him, until in high school, when I hit a growth spurt and sprung up to about 6 feet 4 inches and 230 pounds worth of muscle. After that I became the typical jock type. Played football, partied, bunch of friends, etc. Well, my younger brother, Jay, didn't get as lucky and stayed pretty small and scrawny throughout high school and college, only getting up to about 5 feet 8 inches, and didn't have a super active social life. Despite the difference in our schooling experience, I was always very protective of Jay, especially since we were always having to put up with P's bullshit, which stopped once he realized I could pound him into the ground and not break a sweat, as he was also a lot smaller than me at only 5 feet 10 inches. Not much to say about Kay. She was a great younger sister and P didn't dare mess with her or he would incur the wrath of our mother. So, in the late 90s, Jay met his first real girlfriend, A, and was over the moon about her. He spent every spare moment with her, and when he wasn't with her, he would do nothing but gush about her. I had never seen him so happy. Well, one day, he comes to us, all smiles, and announces that A is pregnant and they are expecting. The mood quickly turned, however, when a week later it came out that A had been cheating on Jay for the duration of their relationship with our older brother P. This broke my brother, and of course P, being the golden shit that he is, didn't even get a disappointed glance from our parents. To this day I have never seen someone look so broken as Jay had looked the last time I saw him. I believe his heartache was only compounded by the fact that my parents basically told him to get over it and be happy for our brother. Well, about a week after this revelation came to light, Jay took his own life. I had never been so sad and angry at the same time in my entire life. sad that I would never see my brother again, and the pure rage of knowing that this was my brother and parents' fault. During the funeral, P walked in with A and I saw red. Thankfully I had other family there to stop me from doing anything stupid, but I told P that if I ever saw him again, I would kill him. Shortly after that, I cut contact with 90% of my family, with the exception of K and a cousin I had always been close with, because everyone except them wanted to make excuses for my parents and P. Even though my sister was just as crushed about Jay's death as I was and was angry for a long time. She and her then boyfriend, future husband, hit a financial rough patch after graduating college and were forced to move in with our parents. Due to unrelated drama at the time, they couldn't stay with me. So my sister stayed with them for several years, and over that time their relationship improved, and even though I wasn't thrilled at the time, I understood. She still doesn't really have a relationship with P, but is cordial if they meet. I don't blame her, because our parents did a lot for her and daughters love their cousins. So I didn't want to put her in that kind of position of choosing. I never had any kids, and truth be told, I never wanted any. I much prefer the role of the fun uncle. Kay met a great guy and had 2 daughters, who I absolutely adore. P had 2 more kids with A before cheating on her and splitting, and I've never met any of them. My parents have tried to make contact a handful of times, but I always told them to kick rocks. So last week, I'm chatting with Kay's daughters, 19 and 17. And they mentioned that their cousins have wanted to meet me for a long time and were hoping I would be willing to meet them as well. I don't believe they know everything that transpired between their dad and I, but I would be lying if I said I never had any desire to meet them. I am a 27 years old female, used to be an escort from 18 until I was 23. I'm not proud of it, but I did what I had to do to keep studying and a roof over my head. That's how I met my now fiancé, though he was never my client. We began to date when I was 25, and 3 or 4 months after that his brother-in-law exposed me. No idea how he found out, because there's no way my fiancé knew, and thus we had to come clean in front of his whole family. Yes, I did that. Yes, he knows. Yes, he doesn't care. It was 2 years ago. At that time, we got over it. After that there was a span of 3 to 4 months in where my mother-in-law and some of my fiancé's aunts and cousin police their husband when I was around. It was really weird tbh, because these dudes were like 40 to 60 years old and I wasn't that desperate. So my fiancé shut their bullshit hard, and even when his family still gives me the side eye from time to time, we thought it was behind us. He proposed last year, and 5 months ago we found out that I was pregnant. We were really happy about it, and we told his family as soon as we knew. His sisters and young brother were happy for us. But his mom took me aside and begged me to be honest with her and asked if this was really my fiancé's child. I was taken aback, but I just rolled my eyes and said yes. She gave me some shitty speech about how she only wanted to make sure, and that she was happy to be a grandmother. Well, last weekend we were at his parents' with his family and some of his friends, and we were talking about the name. How he might look, small talk, we will love him regardless, but there's always some, oh, I hope he gets your nose. MMH, I like your eyes, I hope he gets them comments. And my father-in-law said that he and his children have a birthmark in the inner tight, and that even his grandchildren, one of my SIL's kids, got them, so our baby might too. And then he said, but how can we know from who he got it? It may as well be from me, my boy, or my brothers. And he and his brothers began to laugh. My fiancé got mad, and before he could say anything I said, I don't get it, and my father-in-law was, yeah, because it runs in the family. And I said again, I don't get it, why would he get it from you? And he began to get nervous and said, because you know, it's just a joke OP. And I said, but I don't get it, and you all laughed. Explain. It got to the point that some of his friends said, hey, it's not funny, so he excused himself and left. Later my fiancé's brother-in-law came to me and said that I was wrong for embarrassing him like that in his own house, and that I knew what the joke was about and of my past. I shouldn't be surprised. Now they're all demanding that I apologize to my FIL. One of my best friends lives in a different country. We met years ago online and have talked almost daily to what is approaching a decade. We have both flown back and forth once or twice a year to see the other and hang out, and we've always been there for each other's big moments. She found out last year that she is expecting her first child, and it was amazing news for us all. I was so happy for her to start the family I know she's always wanted with her husband. She came to visit a few months into her pregnancy and asked me to be the baby's godmother. I was over the moon. While we live an 8-hour plane ride from each other, I do have a job that gives me decent vacation allowance and deals with certain airlines that makes visiting manageable. I knew that I could be there for her, and told her that whenever she was ready for someone outside of the family to be there, I would make the trip. Last month, she had her baby shower. And I only found out when I saw on Instagram a mutual friend who lives in the same city as me had surprised her at the shower. I hadn't been invited. I was a little hurt and surprised, but it was the busiest month of the year for the company I work for, and I knew she knew that. So I figured that could be the reason, sent my gift by airmail and said congratulations. However, now she's reached out to me and told me that she has asked another friend, the same person who went to the baby shower, to be the baby's godmother, and that she only wants her child to have one. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I was heartbroken and felt a bit betrayed. For 6 months I have been excited to take on the role. My own godmother lives in New Zealand and has done for most of my life, so I knew it could work. Knew how to stay in contact and be a part of the child's life while living in another country. But now she's taken back her offer and chosen someone else. I wouldn't be so upset if she had chosen someone who lived closer. But she has replaced me with someone who lives in the same city as me, so it's not a distance thing. We have been friends for years. I have been there with updates, support, and love her whole pregnancy. And at no point was there any clue she had changed her mind until the baby shower a few weeks ago. I don't know if I should confront her, tell her I'm hurt, or just accept her decision. It's her baby. And I would never want to force her into a decision she wasn't happy with. I just don't know what to do or say to her now. I want to let her know I'm sad that I'm missing out, but I don't want to sound like I'm whining. And I want to know why she changed her mind, but I'm scared the answer will just upset me.